After a couple of days hiatus, it is time to continue the prospect pool overviews today. And we got the Pittsburgh Penguins in this episode here today. So the Penguins prospect pool has definitely improved over the last couple of years. I wouldn't say it's the strongest as it's going to be, but it's looking pretty darn good as of right now. They got some really solid prospects here from the 2025 draft, including some guys that were picked in the second rounds and later in some other drafts. So let's just hop right in and start off with a guy who was traded to the Pittsburgh Penguins, and that is Rutger McGroarty. So McGroarty was born in Lincoln, Nebraska. He's 6'1", 205 pounds, was drafted 14th overall in 2022. He can play center, but he can also play wing as well. So he's a very dynamic player in that sense. He played 60 games with Wilkes-Barre this past year, had 14 goals, 25 assists for 39 points. He also started and ended the season with the Pittsburgh Penguins collectively. He played a couple of games at the beginning of the season and then ended the season off as well with the Pittsburgh Penguins. So this guy's got some really good tools to his toolbox and overall some solid hockey sense. He's got that in his toolbox, and I think that's shaping up to be a solid middle six player. He had a good first year with Wilkes-Barre. You typically don't see players in their first year, unless if they're really, really good, put up like a half a point per game. And we saw McGroarty do that a couple of times here. Obviously, he's from the universe. He played at the University of Michigan in 2022-23 and 23-24 before he was traded from Winnipeg to the Pittsburgh Penguins. And obviously, he played some games there and such. But the hope is this guy will make the team out of training camp next season. At least that is the expectation. I don't know if some people really expect that. We're going to have to find out. But McGroarty, one of the highly touted prospects in the Penguins organization. Moving on to one of the guys who was drafted in this past draft, Ben Kindle was a big surprise at 11th overall in 2025. He played 65 games with Calgary this past year, had 99 points in his draft year. He's from Coolontamum, BC. He's 5'11", 181 pounds. And he is a right wing. He's got a wicked release. Again, this guy scored 35 goals in the WHL. What else I noticed as I stutter is that this guy can really read plays very well. He's notable in that sense. And I think people who have that IQ, you can be able to score and shoot. But if you don't have the IQ, you're not really going to make it in the NHL. And Ben Kindle has the IQ. So that's something very notable there with his game. And again, he was a little bit of a surprise because I think in any other sense he could have been drafted where Bill Zonin was drafted, 22nd overall, but maybe there was some expectation he was going to go. Again, I'm not 100% sure with that. I don't know what the scouts or the GMs were thinking at the draft because I wasn't there. But overall, I think that Kindle will be a solid prospect when he gets to that level. He's got the good sense and the good IQ that he will make it to the NHL for sure. Bill Zonin is the type of player that everybody can like. Not just the scouts and the GMs, but the fans as well. He was born in Montreal, Quebec. He's 6'2", 185 pounds. He was drafted 22nd overall in this past draft. He's a left wing / right wing there as well. And he played 64 games with the Rowan Nozanda Huskies in the QMJHL. Had 28 goals, 55 assists for 83 points. The Q is known as a little bit of a weaker league, and I'm not surprising anybody by saying that. A lot of people know that the Q is not the strongest league of the three in the CHL, but for Zonin to put up numbers like this, it is very notable. This guy's got great energy, he's got great hustle, and the work ethic too is wild. This guy will work hard, and those are the type of players who, at least in these days in the NHL, you don't see very often. Now, I know I'm kind of surprising people by that statement, but guys who will work hard every single game, whether it's game 1 of the season, game 82 of the season, or game like 44 of the season, game 50 of the season. Like, he's working hard every single game, and that's somebody here in Bill Zonin that people come to like. So I'm a big fan of him for sure, and I hope he makes it to the NHL. Harrison Brunick has finished up his 4th season with the Kamloops Blazers. He went over and played some pro hockey with the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins, but he was born in Johannesburg. He's 6'3", 203 pounds. He was drafted 44th overall in 2024. He is a right shot defenseman. And again, he played with Kamloops this past year, 41 games played, 30 points. What's also notable is that he was born in South Africa. That's kind of wild. when you think about it. But this guy's a very well skater. He's got good skating ability. He's got good mobility as well, even for his size. And he's got great poise as well. And I think that's very notable there for sure. He came over and played games for Wilkes-Barre in the playoffs, was a point per game in 2 games. And again, this is somebody who is a defenseman for the Penguins. I would say is like their number 1 defensive prospect in their pool. I just think he has that overall upside here for the Penguins. And I would expect for him, since he's going to probably be playing another season with Wilkes-Barre next year, I expect for him to maybe get some NHL time. Maybe at the end of the season, maybe midway through, depending on injuries. But Pittsburgh is not a very strong team in terms of their defense. So we could see Brunick playing some games at some point here with the big club. But we'll see. He's somebody who the Penguins are very high on, and I'm very high on him as well. Next up then is Emil Pieniemi. He is a very interesting case in my opinion. He was born in Kuopio, Finland. He's 6'2", 176 pounds. He was drafted 91st overall in 2023. He is a left shot defenseman. He played 60 games with Kingston this past year, had 10 goals, 50 assists for 60 points. This guy is known as a good minute muncher, but he does need to improve. He's still a ways away from making it to the NHL. He's definitely not at that point yet where we can start talking about that. I think he's got at least another year in Kingston before he comes to the AHL, in my opinion, maybe at the end of next season, but he's still a ways away from becoming that player that Pittsburgh wants him to be. But when he's at his peak, he could be a low-end second-pairing guy and a high-end third-pairing guy. But overall, there definitely is some optimism there for Pieniemi. He's definitely a little bit lower in the rankings with some other people than he may be with me, but overall, still a solid prospect. And then you look at the goaltending prospects for Pittsburgh. Joel Blomqvist is highlighted as the most notable of any of them. He was born in Finland. He's 6'2", 183 pounds. He was drafted 52nd overall in 2020. He played 15 games with the NHL Penguins this past year. Had a 4-9-1 record with a 3.81 goals against average and a .885 save percentage. He's got great movement is very notable in his game. I'm not worried about the NHL stats because Pittsburgh's not a very good team. I'm not really worried about it whatsoever. I think his AHL stats speak more for the player that he is. 8-7-3, a .914. He's put up very good numbers in the Liga leagues and in the AHL. So he's somebody there who I want to watch out for. But again, like the NHL numbers may seem a little bit scary. But again, he only played 15 games, and Pittsburgh was not that good of a team. So overall, in my opinion, I'm not very worried about it. Some of you may be, but you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. But Joel Blomqvist is somebody who I'm definitely very high on, and I have been for years. Looking at some of the other prospects in the pool, Will Horkoff was a first-round pick as well in this past year's draft. Had 10 points in 18 games with the University of Michigan. He's going back there for another year. Ville Koivunen is somebody who the Penguins are very high on, and honestly, I don't know how I'm not talking about him in the main profiles, but he had 56 points in 63 games played with the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins and had 7 assists in 8 games with the NHL Penguins. Tanner Howe, solid prospect here as well. He's been around in the WHL. Spent time with Regina and Calgary this past year. Had some solid numbers there. Peyton Kettles was a second round pick in this past year's draft. Had 14 points in 53 games played with Swift Current. And then Charlie Trethaway was a third round pick. He had 9 points in 24 games played with the U.S. Development Program as a defenseman. Last but not least, then, you look at the prospect rankings for the Pittsburgh Penguins. You start off with Rutger McGroarty. He is the number 1 guy. Kindle there is at number 2. Brunicki's number 3. Koivunen's 4. Blomqvist at 5. Zonin at 6. Murashov, who I did not talk about, is at 7. He's a very good ECHL goaltending prospect. And then Pieniemi, Howe, and Fernstrom are also ranked on my list there as well. So that's your prospect pool overview for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to like the video down below and subscribe if you are new. But anyways, that is it for me. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.